Good morning and welcome to A Better World with Julann and Fran. I'm Julann.
And I'm Fran, and this is A Better World with Julann and Fran. And our guest today is Susanne Morais. Welcome, Suzanne.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I'm glad to be here.
And can you talk a little bit about what it is that you do to make the world a better place?
Hmm. Well, as a hypnotist, I help the world be a better place by providing time and space for people to reconnect with who they truly are.
Oh, that's lovely. And do you find that you attract a particular type of clientele?
That's a really good question. I feel like I attract who's meant to be attracted to me. um, I I would guess it's a largely female clientele. It's usually people who have gone through all the other modalities, trying to explore ways to be free of a bad habit or an old pattern of behavior or something else. And then they say, I'm going to explore hypnosis. And I feel that the people who find me were meant to find me. So yes, largely female, but I was just noting today, like I'm seeing more males lately. I don't work with children by choice, so mostly adults.
Very cool. And how long have you been doing this?
I was a former academic in working in the universities in the United States for 24 years, and sort of
Wow.
stumbled upon hypnosis. Maybe it was during the pandemic, and it was never on my bucket list. Never knew that I was going to be doing this, but I just became very interested in it, took a training, then I started seeing a few clients on the side, and lo and behold, I thought, you know what? This makes me a lot happier than working in academia does right now, and I feel like I can impact the world in a better way, in a different way by doing this work. And so I stepped fully into it about 5 years ago, and I have been riding the wave ever since. It was the best decision I ever made.
That's wonderful. Have you experienced it as a client?
I have. I have. In fact, that was one of the interesting things that happened when I was getting started. I I didn't really know what I was even doing yet. I just had listened to podcasts and whatnot. I was exploring hypnosis, and I found myself during the consultation call with the hypnotist that I was planning to work with, saying to that person, I think I want to do what you want to do, what you're doing. And I didn't even know that yet. And then, of course, I had the experience and I couldn't believe it. A simple issue that had been plaguing my life for many years, that I had been in therapy for off and on throughout my life, it was cleared in one session. And I
Wow.
was absolutely astonished and I just wanted to know more. And I really dove in. I've read all the books. I've done so many trainings. I'm a podcast fanatic. I just really, found that the world of hypnosis and working with the subconscious mind is so transformational and such an impactful and amazing way to make change that I quest to know more so that I can really help my clients enjoy the success that I enjoyed.
And can you explain what a session is like with you?
Absolutely. I facilitate all different kinds of sessions. So I'm what's called a transpersonal and spiritual hypnosis practitioner, hypnotherapist, I guess. Um, what I do typically with new clients is I have a 2 hour session. And the reason why it's a little bit longer is because, as a former educator, I like to teach people about how the subconscious mind works. For me, I need to understand something before I'm comfortable with it. I know there's like an idea or an association that people have with hypnosis, because of Hollywood and whatnot. Excuse me.
Yeah.
That often creates a lot of misunderstandings. And so I really want people to be able to trust the process and believe in hypnosis. And so I do spend a little bit of time informing them about how the subconscious mind works, and also giving them tools that they can use on their own to help them interrupt patterns or become aware of patterns, to work with themselves at a deeper level. So a 2-hour session with a new client's a little bit longer than, my repeat clients. And then what we do is I start with a guided meditation. So, a lot of people have that understanding that hypnosis is something done to you. I absolutely believe that that I am the facilitator of change, that I'm holding the space for change, and that it's the client that's able to do the work when they feel safe and grounded. And so, yes, so we start with a guided meditation. I often tell people, don't worry about that whole idea of trance. That's what you see in the movies. Some people can get into that deeper space and some people don't, and that's okay. It doesn't matter. If you really want to work with the subconscious mind, it's my belief that we bypass the critical factor in the mind or the conscious mind by simply accessing the imagination. And so I help people get into a more relaxed space so that they can work with that imaginative part of themselves. And in that space, there's a flow, there's an inner knowing of the answers that they need, of the solutions that they need, and all the resources that they've always had within to be able to help them get to a place of, feeling better or creating change for themselves. So once we're, past that induction part, then it's just really a series of questions. I believe that the client leads the session. So essentially they're leading and I'm asking questions, and based on their responses, I ask more questions. And so we just keep diving in, and they are finding their own solutions and their own answers within that experience. And so there's many interventions that can be used during a session, but generally, my clients are in a state of hypnosis for an hour to an hour and a half.
Wow. Wow.
Do you find everyone is different as far as how many sessions they need to get, or is it based on what the issue is that they're having, you think? I know everybody's different, but what do you find?
Oh, yeah, everybody's different. It really, I think, depends on the client, their motivation level, and the issue. Sometimes people come to me and they have I have been dealing with this sugar addiction issue for 20 years. I have a sweet tooth. I grew up eating sweets. I don't think it's anything I could ever finish, complete or end. And I often think, okay, probably with any kind of eating related issue. In my mind, I think, up to 3 sessions is typical where I see real change. But, I have clients that are like, boom, it's done, it's over in that one session, and they're freed from that old pattern of behavior so quickly. And then there's others that need, 3, and on occasion more. But I am very good at what I do, and I am very motivated to help people make the change that they need to. So it's my intention to help them resolve the issue as quickly as they can. However, I will say that many of my clients are repeats. My repeat clients fill up my schedule, not coming for the same issue. They come and work on a variety of issues, because once you start doing this work, it's just so exciting because you get to know yourself at a deeper level. And like I said at the beginning, they start to reconnect with who they are. And that's really exciting and really freeing and really empowering.
Yeah, powerful change, I can imagine.
I love some of what you said. One of the things you said was you consider yourself to be I think you used the word facilitator.
Yes.
And I love that so much, because when a client realizes that you're facilitating the client to do the work, then the client realizes that he or she or they are powerful. And if I can stop smoking or stop eating sugar or whatever that is, whatever the issue is, I can also, and then they're just that much more powerful.
Yes.
And
You
also
make them feel
when you
safe.
mentioned Yeah, when you
Right.
mentioned repeat clients, a lot of times I wind up explaining to my clients that the issue you come with is like an onion. And you peel
Yes.
away that first layer, and there's another layer under it, and another layer, and another. And you may come for a sugar addiction, but it may turn out to be, the way you were treated when you were a child or something
Oh,
like that.
yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think every issue is emotionally based. Every single thing, that anybody comes to that always has to do with emotion.
Absolutely. Even physical issues. You know,
Yeah.
Hmm.
you may
Oh, yeah.
think, as Julann has heard me tell the story of when I broke my elbow, I was training for a fundraising bike ride that was supposed to go, well, it did. I didn't participate in it because I broke my elbow, but it went from San Francisco to Los Angeles, and you got people to sponsor you. But on a training ride, I fell off of my bicycle and I broke my elbow.
Mm.
So obviously I broke my elbow because I fell off of my bicycle, right? No,
Right.
I broke my elbow because I was terrified of riding in traffic, and I did not ever realize that consciously at that point. It took me a
Mm.
few weeks of doing emotional freedom technique and hypnosis for me to realize
Wow.
that that was the problem. I didn't want to ride in the traffic, but that was the reason I fell off of the bicycle. And
Yeah.
even Louise Hay wrote in her
Hmm.
book, You Can Heal Your Life, I think it's called, that a
Hmm.
broken bone means you don't want to complete something.
Right. Oh, yeah. This is kind of the spiritual element of the work that I do is helping people understand that the root cause of basically everything, right? The patterns, the habits, the ailments that we have, the disease, often can be emotionally based. And um, sometimes that can feel like, oh, I've done this to myself, and people don't really like, to take that on like, oh, I'm to blame for this. And it's not so much to blame. It's not, it's just understanding that when
Right.
you realize that maybe some ways of thinking, limited ways of thinking, or ways of behaving, or even riding a bike, right, have impact on your overall health, well, then you can realize, well, if I make a shift to my thinking, or if I realize these patterns, or if I do something different, then I can free myself from them. And miraculous healings can occur, which have been well documented, so it's understanding just the incredible power that you have within, and helping people learn how to tap into that power.
It's
Absolutely.
amazing, isn't it? It
Yeah,
really
it
What's
is.
that,
is.
Julian?
It's so amazing that you can help people understand themselves better and overcome just about anything.
Just about anything. And it can be miraculous. Like it really can be something that, like somebody felt like, oh, this is it. Like I'm stuck. This is who I am. And they've got a story that they're really stuck in. And then as soon as they recognize, like, oh, if I shift my thought to this, like Fran, in your example with riding the bike, right? Oh, that happened to me and that sucks and I couldn't ride the race, right? Like that's how a lot of people might look at that. But I often, challenge my client with the question, what if that happened for you? And if that happened for you, what is this lesson meant to teach you? My husband had a really bad accident, and broke his leg. And we used Louise Hay's book, to explore the root cause. And it aligned very well with that broken leg. And so that was a question he sat with, through that long period of healing, is what is this whole experience of healing my body and the accident itself teaching me? And it was life changing. When you can reframe any given disaster or challenge in life to a lesson, that's so powerful, right?
Yes.
It makes you feel like an actor in your own play, and you know the scenes that are coming up, right? Like, and yeah, you have more power to show up in those scenes deliberately, as opposed to just allowing life to happen to you.
And you can make adjustments and
Yeah,
change the ending. How
exactly.
important is that when
Yeah.
you help a client get to where they need to be. That I can imagine
Yep.
that would be a great feeling.
Yeah. So the question is, what if this is happening for me? What if this happened for me? Just like anytime you get into that victim mode, rather, can I change the channel on this experience and look at it from a different lens? And I think that can be really powerful and impactful. One, to reframe, but also to sort of separate yourself from the problem, and that's something that hypnosis does really well, right? You're able to sort of look at a problem from a distance as opposed to just being sort of wrapped up in it.
Yeah. And I think there is sometimes also a tendency to think that when people don't understand their subconscious minds, they don't realize that the subconscious mind is so much larger than the conscious. And when they say,
Yeah.
I know myself, I am me, I know me. Well, you
Yeah.
know about 5% of you. You know,
Yeah.
the other 95% is happening automatically. It's
Yes.
it's working on old, recordings. It's, and reframing is so important. Like what you said, I was
Mm.
teaching a law of attraction class not that long ago, and this adorable young man wanted to manifest what he kept calling a hot girlfriend. And part of the problem was he was standing outside of himself and judging himself for being shallow. And I
Mm.
said, well, who doesn't want to find the person that they're with to be attractive? Would you want to be with somebody you're not attracted? So, and that changed the whole thing. Then he stopped judging himself.
Hmm.
And I thought, it really, a reframe was great. Um, and there are times, I don't know if you've encountered this, but people have come to me and said, oh, I wouldn't do hypnotherapy because it's not in the Bible.
Oh,
It is in the Bible.
yeah.
If you've read the New Testament, every time
Yeah.
somebody went to Jesus for a healing, he would say, your faith has made you whole. You did this, not
Mm.
I, you know.
Mm.
And it wasn't called hypnotherapy because that word hypnosis is only about 200 years old, but it was definitely in the Bible. So just
Right, right. Along with Reiki and,
yes,
crystals and, a lot of the natural modalities that, have been here, there, you see threads of that, in all religions.
yeah.
Something I wanted to highlight that you just said, when you were talking about subconscious behaviors and 95% of who we are is beneath the surface. That's something that I spend a lot of time talking to my clients about, because, you know, when you think about who you are authentically in this world, we all came into this world with a unique fingerprint. Nobody else has it. Our own unique DNA, the expressions, the way that we look is ours, the sound of our voice is ours. Like everything about us is unique. Yet the moment really we're born, we're put into categories or given labels, right? Oh, Suzanne was an easy baby. Oh, Suzanne was a fat baby, or on and on and on, right? And we start to take on these identities, and then we go off to school and we're looking at so and so's lunch. That lunch looks better. Their clothes look better. You go to answer a question and the teacher says, oh no, that answer's not right, and then you start to assume others know more. So we take on these like coping strategies, right, to survival techniques. They're protective mechanisms to help us survive in life. And that's where that 95% comes in. It's all about comparing ourselves to others. It's all about surviving. It's about creating identity, right? And so much of that gets formed in the first 7 years of our lives. So it's not anything that we're aware of, right? But when, we show up in the world as people pleasers, well, people pleasing is how you survive in life, right? Maybe that's how you survived in your family, but it doesn't serve you anymore as an adult. And that's often, what is the impetus for people to come to an hypnotist. Like, here I am, I'm still people pleasing. It doesn't feel good. It's not serving me. And if that's something that people are feeling, right, then that means it's out of alignment. It's not true to who they naturally are. And so that's what I like to help people do, is sort of peel back those layers, right, that other people slapped onto us, or that we unconsciously took on as survival techniques, and help them get back to discovering who they authentically are.
Absolutely. Do you wind up using the oxygen mask analogy? that if you're on a flight and they give the safety speech, they always say, put your oxygen mask on first if it drops. Because, and it's so true, you know, if you're a people pleaser and you're trying to make everybody else happy, you've got nothing, you know, you're depleted. So you don't have
Yeah,
what you need to help them. So if it's, you can't pour from an empty cup, I also say with
right.
some frequency, you know. Um,
Absolutely. Makes
yeah,
sense. Mhm.
yeah. I use that one a lot with my clients. Do you feel like your life has sort of led you to where you are? Your
Oh,
experience?
yeah. I mean, it's just, I just got chills as you said it. Like, it all makes total sense now, you know? And I think that's the case for everybody, right? Like everybody is moving in the direction where they're meant to be moving, and it may not make a lot of sense right now, but if you continue to follow the breadcrumbs of what brings you joy, right? Like what feels good, what's exciting. You know, if I had to I had a choice between a left and a right in any given moment, and right feels more exciting, and I follow the right path, right? Now I'm getting into alignment, and that's kind of what I did throughout my life. You know,
Oh,
I
good.
started off with well, initially, I have no idea what I want to do. You know, my mom studied psychology. I'm kind of interested in psychology. I'll study psychology, you know. So I started there. I didn't go into science or math or something crazy that was totally off for me, because that wasn't an interest for me. So I did study something that was somewhat interesting, but I didn't know what I was going to do with it. And then I went on, I became an outdoor leader. I worked in outdoor education for many, many years. And in fact, that's what I was doing within the universities, then taught leadership. And in leadership, it's so much about personal development and about compassionate conversation and dialogue and communication and authentic interactions and compassion and empathy, right? And so it really, you know, hypnosis just falls so well into this. And, you know, one more thing was in the last years that I was in the classroom in the university I was at here in North Carolina, you know, students were struggling with a lot of mental health issues. And I could see the drastic change in the classroom. And I really wanted to be able to support my students, but I didn't know how. I didn't have the wherewithal. I was doing the best I could with the skills I had. And so this was sort of, you know, helping me, informing me on how to be a better teacher. And then I felt I moved into this. I'm no longer in the classroom, but now I just love teaching this, right? And so I do a
Right.
lot of group workshops and group events. So when I look at it all, I'm like, oh my gosh, look at that psychology, outdoor leadership, teaching, you know, now hypnotherapy and group events. It's perfect. It's just this beautiful fabric, this beautiful tapestry that I didn't understand when it was being woven.
That's great. You
That,
followed all the steps.
yes, absolutely. And in terms of leadership, in a way, hypnosis and hypnotherapy is a way of teaching leadership because you're teaching your clients that they have the power. If they can make this change that they thought they couldn't make, they can also make, you know, any other change they want. And it's really very fulfilling. I find for me, it's very fulfilling for me to show somebody else how powerful he or she or they is.
Absolutely. Yeah. And when you do the healing, this is the part that I just find so fascinating. Any healing that you do impacts the people that you're interacting with on a daily basis. You know, it impacts your spousal relationship if you're in a marriage, or your partnership, or certainly impacts your relationship with your children. And I really believe that the healing that I do um, relieves my children from having to do that particular form of healing, you know, because it's done, you know, it's completed. And that's just something I'm seeing sort of repeating, but I've also seen it as evidence in my own life and in my own family life. So yes, it absolutely impacts how you show up in the world, and it impacts the world around you and how others interact with you as well. Mm-hmm.
And your experience. I think once you learn so much more about yourself and you realize all these things, it opens up your whole life. It opens your attitude. You're a happier person. You're, you know,
Oh my gosh.
everyone around you is happier. And it's just, It's
Uh,
great.
it's, when people come and they have those big transformational sessions, like, oh, this is the last straw. I've tried absolutely everything, and then they're like, whoa, wow, I'm different. I'm better. This is incredible. I wish I had known this was here all along. And that's where I get frustrated because of the Hollywood version or because of the misunderstandings,
Yeah.
right? Because it is such a powerful way to make change and to explore and expand who you are. And you really can be a different person. You really can, if that's what you want, right? You can get out of those old habits and patterns and behaviors through this work, but also learning the various tools, right? Like just having the self awareness to be able to do this. You can do it without a hypnotist. Mm-hmm.
And they're lighter. Even if it takes a few sessions or whatever, it takes a little bit longer for them to realize, they leave, it seems, lighter than when they came in. And that's
A
a difference.
hundred, 100% of my clients, 100% at the end say, I often end saying, well, how do you feel? I feel lighter. It's just like, like I'm waiting for it. I'm like, when are they going to say it? And that's so interesting, right? Because there is a weight to whatever it is we've been carrying. And we don't realize it's a weight. Some of us do, right? Feel like a weight on our shoulders or whatnot. I do a lot of somatic work as well. You know, but no matter what they came in for, whatever kind of session, they are generally feeling lighter. And I love that. I love
Yeah,
that.
that's a great thing.
Well, bless you for doing what you're doing.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's wonderful. Do you find that the people the clients that you're attracting have things in common with you, or like, because I'm asking because sometimes hypnotherapists will say they're attracting people who have the same issues from which
Mm,
they were trying to heal.
yeah, that's an interesting question. Yes. For better or for worse, right? Well, first of all, I will say that I think that the people are drawn to me. So I have my face on my website, journeyshypnosis.com, right? And that's the first thing people land on. And I think we have like an energetic signature, right? And when people land on it and they see my face, they see my writing or whatnot, and we have a consultation call. So they're connecting in with some of those authentic parts of myself that we talked about early, right? They're seeing my face, they're hearing the tone of my voice, they're feeling my energetic resonance. And so I feel like I'm sort of calling in people that need that particular resonance. So first of all, I kind of put that out there. But two, yes, and when it comes to those, oh, yep, I've definitely had that issue many, many times, right? It's often there. And so, yeah, so sometimes clients can help me have those big ahas about myself, um, which, then allows me. So I think that, when you're in this role, it's important to keep doing your own work, right? And keep, I don't think we're ever to the center of that onion.
Right.
There's so many layers that we have to keep peeling back, peeling back. And so sometimes, if a client comes in with an issue that I haven't been able to clear, I well, if they approach me with that issue, I may not work with them, right? Because if I haven't been able to do it, I don't know that I feel comfortable working with them, with that particular issue.
Well,
And
that's
do you ever
wonderful.
find that you both could make progress together? Like you would make progress as you're helping them make progress, or you don't find that? You don't want to
Yes.
wear
Okay.
them on yourself, I guess. You just want to.
Right. Without disclosing too much, right? I often will take on clients that, of course, have the same issues as me because we all have a lot of the same issues, right?
Right.
The key issues that are recurring, I see almost every week, are worthiness, right? We're all kind of struggling with some level of worthiness, abandonment. I think we all have some sort of abandonment wound. Um, and on, right? Like I think some of these things that, if I said no to every client that I had every common issue with, I wouldn't have any clients. But sometimes there's like bigger issues. So for a long time for me, sleep was an issue. And I went to hypnotherapists. I did all kinds of things to try to, and then people would come to see me, and I was like, I don't think hypnosis is going to work. And if I didn't believe it was going to work, I
Right.
didn't feel like I could help them. I have since cleared that issue, and now I'm confident working with it. But that was an example of like, I was kind of stuck with that issue.
Well, that's very honest of you. And
Yes.
it's great that it's always wonderful to know what you can work with and what is it's better to refer a person to another therapist. Because
Yeah,
that
yeah.
makes that's one of the many things that makes you an excellent therapist.
Exactly. And I think they would
Mm,
want to come back and work on something else with you because you did,
yeah,
you know what I mean? Because you're honest and you love that when you go anywhere, right? Any kind of customer
right.
service where you find someone who's selfless, then you're like, wow,
Yeah.
you know what? I could learn some stuff from her.
Hmm.
Well, and that's the whole intention, right? Is like to try to keep showing up authentically, right? And not try to fake it. Like,
Right.
what feels authentic is to work with this. And if that doesn't, like sometimes I'm on a call with a client. It doesn't happen very often, but sometimes, and I'm like, I know I don't want to work with this client. I don't feel like we're a good match
Right.
energetically. And I just know this. And, that's an interesting thing to be true to yourself and say, you know what? Through the base of this conversation, I just don't feel like we're really aligned. And here's some referrals, but showing up and being authentic is probably one of the hardest things we need to do, but it's brave. And like I said, I think it creates the success that I have because people can count on me to show up and be authentic without a lot of, I don't know, masks on or costumes or facades, that I
Yeah.
just show up. I do my best to show up authentically every day for every client.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Um, if when somebody wants to contact you, how do they do that?
Well, I have a website. I'm journeyshypnosis.com. I have a Facebook page of the same name and an Instagram page, the same name. My name is Susanne Morais. Like I said, I work with a lot of individuals one-on-one. I work online and in person. I'm in Raleigh, North Carolina. I also do a lot of group events. So usually monthly, beginning in the fall, I have online events for people who are just curious, or want to work with various issues. So some of those group workshops might be like a mindfulness or a self-hypnosis or breaking habits. Um, Sometimes it's having boundaries or, how to be a better leader, how to show up more authentically, on and on and on. So I offer a lot of those. And that often is a way for people to kind of dip their toe into me and to what I have to offer, into the power of this work without, fully jumping into a hypnosis session if they're not ready for that yet.
Oh, great. And Julann, do you have any last questions?
We covered so much and everything was wonderful. But if there was one thing, if there was a message you could give to the audience, one thing you'd want to tell them, what would it be?
You can free yourself from feeling stuck. You can free yourself by showing up authentically and peeling back those layers of identity or beliefs that other people put upon you or that you decided to take upon yourself. The most important thing you can be in yourself in this life is yourself, and to show up and to show up using your creative gifts, speaking your authentic truth, and being yourself. And once you do, you are completely aligned and riding the wave of life. And it's just so freeing and empowering and exciting. And that is the one message I think everybody in the world needs to hear. Just be you.
Yourself. Nice. I love that
That's,
message. Thank you.
yeah,
Thank you
that's,
so much.
thank you very much. Yes. All right, then. This has been another episode of A Better World with Julann and Fran and our guest, Susanne Morais. And please like and share this video, and please subscribe and join us again next time, won't you? So long for now.
Thanks.
Thank you.